Yes. Uh, yeah, everything from, it will all be recorded. I'm going to go back and redo this. Everything up through, yeah, it'll all be posted on the YouTube channel. I just got to go back and re-record, eight, up to 8.6, I think is basically where I needed to go to. Okay. So you no, you're gonna load it right from your. So Dropbox is just an archiving system for you. Okay, so you have it on your computer. Yeah, you just drag it in, or use the file browser to select it from right from your computer. You can upload it from the file browser. So you have to come into, like, hold on just a sec. So if you come in, right, so when I want to do my right, so if I want, so I would go into Submiti. Let's see. This is going to switch me this time, and I don't want it to. No, this will be fine. So what happens today was I went to a different part of Python Tutor, and I didn't have auto switching set up. That's why you guys had to keep yelling at me. Okay, so if I come into Submiti, right, for my lecture 5, my lecture exercise 5, right, you come in here, it'll give you a screen like this, and you'll go through this. There's people there that'll be able to help you. And then you click on this, and you just come in and find your code, right? And yeah, you can save it from Spider, and then if you have your Dropbox set up correctly, Dropbox should archive it to the web for you as well, but it'll still be on your hard disk. Okay? And you just grab it directly from there. Sure. Absolutely. But one of the things to keep in mind is that Submiti will tell you. So I've done this. So if we I just submitted my lecture exercise. Was there anything in that one? No. So I can come in here and I can submit my results, and it's going to tell me both what it's looking for and what I provided it. So if we just give it a second here, right? These are the two tests that I just submitted. And again, you'll go through all of this during lab, so you'll know this during lab. This is what I put out. This is what Submiti was looking for. So these types of things are the stuff that we want you to use Submiti for. We prefer that you get your program running and running mostly correctly before you get to this point. But it'll tell you whether you're matching it or not. For any lecture exercises or homeworks, for exams, you won't be able to resubmit. But for lecture exercises and homeworks, and even your lab report, you'll be able to resubmit. After about 20 times, you'll start getting a warning. But we have any deductions actually disabled. So don't be be prudent, because if it starts taking down the system, because you're all submitting 2,000 times, we will have to put limits on. But so long as a group you're prudent, there's no effective limit. There are multiple ways to do anything. The reason you do that is we want you to learn how to use the /n. The reason we're asking you to do this is we want you to learn how to run the /n function, because sometimes the most important thing you can do with it is suppress the end of line. So if you want to write, if you want to continue your next print statement on the same line by suppressing the /n. You can do that. You put in a null character, for example. But we want you to learn how to use the print statement so that you can effectively match. Right? You're asking, do you have to match the MIDI exactly? Yes. We're giving you the tools to do it. Okay? Sure. Sure. Right. No, lab 0, as long as you show him a completed lab 0 by, right at the start of your next lab. I think that they'll probably want to divide you up into groups first and everything, and then just show them, whenever they're willing to take it. But that'll be for credit. By the way, I just there is a new posting in both the FAQ. I think it's thread 68, but it's also referenced in the FAQ for I think the issue you're having. So you may be able to resolve it before office hours. So, yeah. So Dropbox is just right. It's the only reason we're having you do Dropbox is not that it's part of the course. It's that it's backing up your stuff for you. So you don't have to load anything from Dropbox, right? My Dropbox is here, right? And it's just a directory like anything else. So if I want to submit lecture 19 time.py as something, right, I can come into my submittee, right, and just drag it off of my desk top, or even do the browser. Dropbox is invisible as far as this is concerned. What's happening is in the background, it's uploading my stuff to the cloud so that if my computer goes belly up, I haven't lost anything. Yeah, so just, once you have Dropbox installed, you don't have to load anything from it. You don't have to download it. You don't have to go to the Dropbox site to go to Submiti. Just use the tools that are available, and they'll walk you through this during lab. I mean, you'll be required to do this, and you can get help if you have issues. Okay? Sure. Thank you. Same to you. Lab periods are Tuesdays. Yeah, lab periods are Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You're supposed to go in your specific time. Okay, so labs are only Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so it couldn't have been your specific time. What lab are you in? Section 3? Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, so section 3 meets on Tuesdays from 12:20. Today's Monday, so it meets. Yeah, so it meets. Yeah, it meets on Tuesday from 12:20 to 2:10. In Mohammed Eilish's WebEx. Oh, wait a minute! I'm not showing. Hold on. I actually have this up here. Let's see, what do I have it on? Python tutor. Okay, yeah, so you're right here. Okay, so if you just it's Tuesday 12:20 to 2:10. Okay. Next. Anybody else? No, that won't work because it'll try to execute it. So you could, I guess, comment everything out except for the specific part, but each part has to be in its own separate file. Okay? You're welcome. Yeah. So, well, actually, I think it's primarily mentors because we have fewer TAs than in previous semesters. But yeah, so from 9 to 11, we're running office hours, right? So that would be this block right here. And what you would do is you would go to Submittee. Me ghost in as, no, that's not what I wanted. Control-Shift-P. Okay. Let me ghost in as my other self. Okay, so you would come in and you would go to the office hours queue. And when office hours are open, right, you'll see office hours here. ALAC is another office hours, but I don't believe. Of course it is. Thanks. Okay, so right, you would go to the you'd start off here. Go to the office hours queue, and when we from 9 to 11, when we actually have office hours, you'll be able to come in here and drag down to office hours, and then enter office hours as the password, and your specific WebEx room here, right? And once you do that, then you can kind of watch yourself in this queue, but start up your WebEx, and somebody will join you in the WebEx when you get to the top of the queue. Okay? Yep. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead. The lecture exercises. So, the lecture exercises for lecture 2 are due as part of lab. Okay, so you'll have the opportunity to submit those and see how to submit those, and walk through any issues you have at that point. And you can ask questions of the TAs or the mentors to help you through. The lecture exercises for 3, 4, and 5 will be due by Wednesday at midnight. 2 will be due during lab. Okay? Yes. Okay? Hello? Next. Right. So you shouldn't be. So you can't reassign. You can't change You can't change values inside a string. What you can do is create a new string. Okay, and what you should be looking at is don't change the values explicitly. Use some of the string functions that we brought out in lecture 2. I think it was lecture 2. To do them. So for example, if we go back to not 2, 3, right? If you look at lecture 3, we gave you a whole series of concatenation and replication and functions like, where is it? Lower and where is it? It's somewhere in here. Kind of. Here, let me get to where I'm trying to show you. Maybe it's in 4. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. So there's these string methods, and you should be looking at using these string methods. So don't go in and change the values one by one, and don't use a loop or an if or anything. Instead, look at these functions that we defined on strings, and use them to make to do what you're being asked to do. Okay, so we don't want you walking through the strings. We don't want you accessing the individual characters in the string. What we want you to do is we want you to use these methods from lecture 4. Okay. Yeah, or there's other ones that are probably even more useful for exactly what you're trying to do. Because remember that this has to work on any string. So, look at these functions and figure out which one of them would actually work for you. Okay? Replace it. You will have to use replace, by the way. Replace will be one of the ones you need to use, but there are others as well. Okay? Yep. Yeah, where do we have replace? You're welcome. Hello. No, it'll be submitted there. We haven't opened it yet. Okay? All right, you're welcome. Hello? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll get into split a little later, but there are multiple forms of split. So if you do, oops. So if you do help on split, right? This separator is what it splits on. Okay, so if you don't specify anything, it splits on white space. So or it should split on /t. No, // it wouldn't, but /t it should. Yeah, it splits on /t. It should split on, if you don't specify anything, it splits on white space. Okay, so that would be /n/t space. Those are the main white space characters. If you want it to split on something else, let's say B, then you can give it right. You can give it B, and then it'll split on B, right? And it won't split on the white space. So that's kind of the way you use split. I think we have another lab with split coming up, or another lecture with strings coming up where we'll talk about that. But probably when we start talking about this. Go ahead. So again, I think it's I believe it's all white space. You're welcome. But remember, it comes in from the sides, so right now, if you want, you can strip on something else, just like with split. So if I just want to get rid of just the /t's, I can strip on /t, and it won't strip on anything else. Okay? You're welcome. All right. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over. So you are welcome to hang out with me, but I am going to go over and start from the beginning so that I can have the entire lecture recorded as opposed to just this this last part. Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm. There is no lecture exercise for lecture 1, and there's not one for lecture 14, and is that all? There may be one or two more in there that don't have lecture exercises. It's so if you go to the lecture notes and exercises, right? Yeah. Yeah. From the weekly lecture and lab schedule. Okay. Yeah, hold on. So Submiti also has a course materials section. Okay, so the homework is here, labs are here, and actually, and the syllabus is here. And actually, if you want the PDF of the lecture notes, you can also get them here, and the exercises are at the tail end of those as well. So lab 1, we're going to have, lab 0, you just had to talk to your TA and show them what you had. Lab 1, you're going to do a lab notebook, and we'll get that opened up on Submity for you. Homeworks that'll be opened up tonight, but again, it will be on Submity. Yep. Okay, if you have questions, post it to the discussion forum, because don't post anything that shows your code, but if you have questions about the structure of the course or about what we mean by a specific homework or anything like that, post them to the discussion forum, because that allows more eyes to get at them, both to answer it and once we've answered it, other people can see the answer as well. Yep. Yep. Yep, you're welcome. Yep. How to jump past the next loop. Yeah, but don't do that, because we don't need continues and we don't need loops right now. We'll hit those. Don't. Yes. I'm sorry? Yeah. Okay, why don't you... So one of the things you'll learn during lab tomorrow is how to interpret Submity output. But why don't you share your screen? I can allow you to share, and then we'll take a look at it. I'll see if I can explain what's going on. Yeah, so that says that so what that says, if you look at the numbers along the left margin, right? It says in yours you have line 1 is the first line of stars, line 2 is the second line with Spanish Inquisition on, line 3 is the second row of just stars, line 4 is a blank line, and you can see that there's a line 4 in the on the expected output as well. And then you have a line 5, which is a blank line. And line 5 in the expected output is the first row of stars for the NI, for NI. So what that's telling is sorry? So what that's telling you is that you have an extra blank line between the two outputs. Yep. Right, but you have two new lines. Yep, sure. All right, anything else? I don't know what jump the loop means. Jump out of a loop? So You would either need an if statement or a break in the third loop. You would need an if statement to protect against going into the third loop, or a break to get you out of the third loop when it first started. We don't have go-tos we're not, yeah, we won't use go-tos. But you shouldn't need any of that for anything we've given you so far. So you shouldn't need to use a loop at all. Okay, so if you're using a loop in any of the lecture exercises or the homework or lab, right? You've missed something. You don't need to use a loop at all for those. Okay. You're welcome. All right, anything else?